The name Los Zetas strikes fear across Mexico and the United States. Once formed by defectors from Mexico's special forces, Los Zetas evolved into one of the most violent, militarized drug cartels in history. They were not only drug traffickers, they were trained killers who turned the U.S.-Mexico border into a battlefield, and their reach extended deep into American cities. This is the story of Los Zetas, their rise, their war in America, and the FBI's relentless pursuit to bring them down. Los Zetas began in the late 1990s, when elite commandos of Mexico's special forces deserted their posts and allied themselves with the Gulf Cartel. Their training in counterinsurgency, urban combat, and weapons handling made them far more dangerous than typical criminals. With military precision, Los Zetas quickly became the enforcement arm of drug trafficking across the border. But soon, their ambitions grew, and they split from their Gulf Cartel masters, launching one of the bloodiest cartel wars in history. Los Zetas were not content to dominate Mexican territory. They saw the United States as both a lucrative market and a safe haven for operations. By the mid-2000s, FBI and DEA reports identified Los Zetas operatives in Texas, California, Illinois, and even as far north as New York. They brought with them brutality that shocked even hardened gang members, extortion, kidnappings, executions, and intimidation. Local U.S. gangs became their foot soldiers, distributing cocaine, heroin, and meth, while funneling profits back to Mexico. Drive-by shootings in Houston, mutilated bodies in Texas border towns, threats to U.S. law enforcement. Los Zetas' trademark was terror. They used violence not just to eliminate rivals, but to send a message. Entire American communities near the border lived in fear, and federal agencies realized that this was no ordinary cartel. This was a paramilitary force operating on U.S. soil. The FBI and DEA launched joint operations targeting Los Zetas cells. Wiretaps, undercover agents, and financial tracing began to unravel their networks. But Los Zetas were disciplined, using encrypted communications, counter-surveillance, and infiltration of U.S. law enforcement. Each bust seemed to uncover only part of the picture. While the violence continued to spread, the war was now personal. Los Zetas assassinated police officers and judges in Mexico, and plotted attacks in the United States. The Zetas perfected their smuggling operations into the U.S. They used tunnels, hidden compartments in trucks, and even semi-submersible boats. Cocaine from South America, heroin from Mexico's poppy fields, and crystal meth cooked in clandestine labs. Los Zetas flooded American streets with poison. For them, the U.S. wasn't just a neighbor, it was the crown jewel market, and they were willing to kill anyone who stood in their way. Unlike older cartels who operated quietly, Los Zetas embraced public brutality. They uploaded execution videos, left bodies hanging from bridges, and threatened journalists. Their methods were psychological warfare. In the U.S., fear of the Mexican mafia was replaced by fear of Los Zetas. In Chicago, Dallas, and Atlanta, their drug distributors carried out orders under threat of death. To the FBI, this wasn't just organized crime, it was domestic terrorism. As the FBI intensified pressure, cracks appeared inside Los Zetas. Low-level operatives flipped, trading information for protection. Informants revealed stash houses, money laundering fronts, and names of U.S.-based lieutenants. Yet every betrayal was paid in blood. Los Zetas were infamous for executing defectors' families. The FBI had to work in shadows, protecting witnesses while trying to dismantle a network that seemed endless. By the 2010s, U.S. and Mexican joint operations began hitting Los Zetas' leadership hard. Harry Brito Lazcano, known as El Lazca, was killed. Miguel Trevico Morales, Z40, was captured. But even in defeat, the cartel fractured into smaller, violent factions, each more unpredictable than the last. And still, their influence in U.S. drug markets lingered, with allies and rival gangs carrying on their bloody legacy. Los Zetas' legacy in the U.S. is one of blood and fear. They showed that militarized cartels could not only destabilize Mexico but extend their war north of the border. The FBI continues to track splinter cells and U.S. gangs trained under Zeta discipline. While many leaders are gone, the violence they unleash continues to shape the American drug war. The story of Los Zetas is not just about drugs, it's about power, terror, and what happens when trained killers turn their skills against society. The FBI's war with Los Zetas is far from over, and the scars they left on American cities remain. From prison cells to border towns, Los Zetas' shadow still lingers, a reminder that in the drug war, no side emerges unscathed.